Will be a full masterclass of how I do VFX on music videos from start to finish, and I'll go through everything from even before I start editing the video, the stuff that I do to prepare myself in the best way possible. Now you might wonder why you should even listen to me and what credentials I have. So I'm a 20-year-old video editor, and I've been editing music videos since I was 14, and I've gotten to work with some huge artists like Kodak Black multiple times, Emily Chapa, Soulja Boy, and a lot more. And now I don't just edit music videos anymore, I also sell presets and plugins and run this creative store. And you're actually about to get one of my best plugins for completely free. So with that being said, let's hop right into this masterclass. So what I start off by doing before I even open After Effects is I look at the music video, I go through the music video, because what I do is just straight VFX. So the music video will already be cut up when it's sent to me, and my job is just to do the VFX. So usually if you're working with a client, you ask them what kind of style they want, and you ask them to send you some references. But now for this video, I just grabbed a video straight off of YouTube. So what I do is I usually just look through it, and this is the video that I got right here. So you can see it's a pretty basic music video. It got this pretty clean style, so we'll go for just some shakes, some clean transitions, some flashes, some stuff like that, just to spice up this music video a little bit. And one thing I would recommend that you do is you can also take notes if you have something specific that you want to add when you look through the video. And that could, for example, look something like this. If I get a crazy idea, like let's say I want to zoom through his hands right here, then I just go in here, type 0.38, the timestamp, and type out zoom through. This is just good for you to have to fall back on if you run out of ideas or if you're in a creative block. So that's also a great thing to do. I don't really do this too much anymore because I have my years of experience, so I pretty much know when to use the right effects. So as you can see, I got After Effects open right now, and I'll go through everything pretty thoroughly so anyone can follow along, even the beginners that just started using After Effects. So I'll go to my files and drag in my music video. And once again, doesn't matter where you got it from, just as long as you have a cut up music video, you should be good. And I'll drag this into the timeline. And just my personal preference, I don't like working with these kind of square music videos. I don't like that format, so I'll just change it to 1920. And we'll have these black bars instead. I prefer that a lot more. So now that we got that in place, I'll mute the audio. Since I'm talking, it will be pretty hard for you to hear me. So I'll just skip the audio for now. And then the first thing that we're going to do is right click on this clip, click on scene edit detection, and split layers at scene edit, and then click OK. And now it will analyze, and basically what this will do is it will cut up our full music video by itself, like automatically, and we'll have all the scenes separated. Oh, by the way, if you're wondering why the quality of my camera changed, it's because I switched from my camera to my webcam, because my camera is not going to survive a 1 to 2 hour recording session. So this is what we got right here. As you can see, a bunch of different layers. Like, we can just scroll through it and see that we have a lot to work with. I'm not sure how much VFX I'm going to do on this video, since I don't want this video to be over an hour long. But now if we play it through, you can see this video already has a title card right here, and it's absolutely sick. So I won't be creating a title card, so I'll hop right into the VFX. And to create the VFX and to help you kind of speed up that workflow, I've given you a free plugin linked in the description, so you can go and grab it for completely free. And it's a plugin that I've coded myself, and it has some of my favorite effects in it. So go ahead, download that shit, and then when you've installed it, you just open your window, extensions, and then I have a bunch of plugins, but right here, VFX Kit Sample, and it looks like this. As you can see, it says sample version, and in here we have some rotor effects, and in here we have some rotor effects. And this is where you rotoscope out your subject and you add the effect onto the background. You have some shakes, we have a simple one, and then we have a little bit of a trippy one, and then some transitions, grunge effects, hits, speed jumps, and CRT, and then of course some promotion for the full version. And the full version has over 150 effects that you simply apply with one click, just like you do here. And just to show you real quick what this plugin looks like, you just create an adjustment layer. Let's say that we want the shake to start right here. Just apply the subtle vertical shake by clicking on it, and that's it. And of course you can turn on motion blur, and just like that we have a shake in our scene. And this tool just saves me so much time. It makes my workflow fly basically. And I'll be using the sample version, and if I need to, I'll use the full version sometimes. So right here we got a shake, as you can see. And just one quick thing that I'll do before we actually get into the real VFX is I'll create a new adjustment layer on top of everything, and I'll add this crop edges effect on, just so I can crop the left and the right, because when I add effects like zooms and stuff, you can see that it basically messes up with these crop edges right there. So I'll just apply this crop edges effect and make it basically line up with the one that we have underneath. just like this, so it doesn't mess anything up. And also one thing that might be good to know is the quality that I edit on is quarter. You could probably keep it at third as well. And then also here in preview, go ahead and set the resolution to whatever you want. I keep it pretty low just so I can work a lot faster. And also if you grab the free VFX kit, then you're also going to need the free Displacer Pro plugin for these cheap effects, but that's basically it. That's just good for you to know. So the first thing that I like to do is just play the song. So I'll duplicate the first layer, hide it, and create an audio layer here at the bottom. Just real quick, is just play the video through and add markers where I want the shakes. And I think it's actually best for you to go to edit and then go to keyboard shortcuts and set your add marker button to somewhere you want it. So you just go to the search window here and search up add marker. And as you can see, I've set the shortcut to my I button. That's just because there wasn't anything important at the I button. So now when I select the audio layer and play it through, so as you can see, when I click I get these markers right here. So that's just a good starting point to have, so you can come back to this whenever you want to.
Tell her, baby, go fuck it up. Shawty told me she wanna rock. Said she fuck with Lil Joey, he wanna one. Okay, on my mother's son. We counting these rest till the sun is up. Said she love me, she can't find another one. Said you fuck with me, baby, come show me some.
Okay, so now as you can see, I've added a bunch of markers to the places where I feel like we could use some great shakes. And as you can see, I only added it up to the first minute because I don't think I'll do the full video, since that would drag out this tutorial way too long. But now we can actually get into the VFX. I'll actually open up the full VFX kit just because it has some better flash transitions. And as you can see, we already have some transitions, but we can definitely make this a little bit better. So first off here, I'm going to start off with a shake like this. Simply just apply it with one click because I want to start off with something strong, something that looks good. And then I can also add on a little bit of a stronger flash right here. So I'll create a new adjustment layer, and just to give you all some sauce, I'll just search up the flash effect and apply it, and then I'll also show what effects I used. So I'll line it up correctly, and down here you can see that I used a motion tile, and I just made the directional blur hit at the same time as the exposure effect, just like that. So now we got a stronger flash going on. Then here he points to the sky. Would be really fitting to just zoom into the sky, and to do that I keyframe the scale right here, and then you can just set the anchor point up to somewhere in the sky, like right there, and then basically just zoom into that part. Now my quality is at third, so it's going to look horrible as of right now, but it's going to look better in a second. So just like this, and then I'll ease my keyframes by pressing F9, and I'll open up the graph editor and I'll create something like this for the graph. So it goes slow in the beginning and then speeds up towards the end. So as you can see, when it points to the sky, I zoom in right there. And then to make this a full transition, I will duplicate this layer and then put it on top of the next clip and just cut it to the last frame. So now when we got the last frame right here, I'll freeze it. So I'll right click, go to time and freeze frame, and then move it into the next scene. So now if we play it through, we should have the zoom and then just a freeze frame. And that's what we want, because now we can create an effect right here by using the opacity. So just click T on your keyboard and then keyframe the opacity, and then go in like half a second or something, and we can drag it down to 0. So now we'll have a full transition here through the sky, as you can see. So through the sky, and then switches to this. But I want this to stay a little bit longer, so I'll drag my keyframes back a little bit and ease them as well by pressing F9. So when it points to the sky, it's basically stuck there for a few frames, and then it switches to the next scene. And then when we have it on full quality, it's going to look a lot better. But we can also add on like a shake underneath, just so when it comes in, we'll have a lot more motion on the clip. So I'll go into the shakes tab, and I'll go for probably the smoothest vertical shake, and I'll apply motion blur to that one as well. So now it looks like this. Yeah, just a lot more going on, and I'm a huge fan of that. I added a marker right here because I wanted to shake, but as you can see, it's a little bit off because it's supposed to be there. So pretty fitting that I can add a shake right here. I'll probably go for, let me play it through first. Let's try the round shake, and we'll just set, and we'll see what it looks like. We can play it with this song, it will probably feel a little bit better. It doesn't really match in my opinion, so I'll remove that one, and I'll just go for this subtle vertical shake, because you can't really go wrong with that one. It's a pretty basic one, but looks great on basically every clip. So as you can see, it looks great on that clip. But instead of adding this shake, I actually got another idea that we could do this zoom through right here. So let me just zoom it. So let me just zoom it all the way through right there, and then keyframe the scale, go back like a second back, and then reset, and then just right click and reset. And then what we can do is we can duplicate this like we did last time. I love this transition because it fits on basically any scene. And then we'll cut it right here. So I'll show you exactly why in a second. We'll just line it up correctly. So when the keyframe starts right here, the opacity will change. The opacity will be at 100, and then here it will be at 0. And then we'll mess with the graph editor in a second. Or actually I want it here at 100, because as you can see they have a flash right here, and that will kind of ruin the effect. So that's the reason why I added my keyframes all the way back here. But now I'll open up the graph editor, do something like this for the scale, and it looks like this now. That's a pretty smooth transition. I'm a huge fan of that one. And that's not really something that you can create into a preset, because you need to do it when it fits your scene. So as you can see, we have a one colored sky, and that's the reason why I could do it. And then right here they have a flash, and I feel like it would go really well with a shake. So I'll create a new adjustment layer, open up the VFX Kit, and let's go for a hard vertical shake. And then this scene really needs some more energy, so we can add another shake right here at the marker, create a new adjustment layer, and I'll go for a subtle shake this time instead of a hard one. I know I forgot to mention that in the sample version of the VFX Kit, of course, these presets are. So if I apply this subtle vertical shake and I want it to be like more intense and just more energized, then you can mess with these keyframes. Since this one is subtle, all you got to do is just mess with the keyframes, drag them up a little bit, and then go to the next one, drag this one down a little bit extra, and that way you'll just get a much harder shake. Once again, pause, just as long as you keep these keyframes like far away from the middle, and then you'll have a much harder shake. As you can see right here, just by doing that, I get a much harder shake. But yeah, like I said, I wanted a subtle shake, so I'll go for the subtle vertical shake once again. Just reapply that one, and now when we play it with the song, it's going to look a lot better. Let me just do that real quick. And right here, I'll go for a quick flash. So let's see. We could actually just create one from scratch. All you need is an exposure effect, and you keyframe the exposure from 0. And then next frame, you drag it up to like 1.5, something like this. A little bit more actually, 1.8. Next frame you can drag it down to 0 once again, and then here at the switch, that's when you want the peak, so I'll drag it up to like 3, maybe 4. We can go for 3.5 actually, and then we can drag it down 2 frames later to 0, and then 1 frame later we drag it up to like 1, and then back to 0. So something like this. Or actually I want this one a lot brighter, and we'll mix it with some more effects. Or actually I want to keep 2 frames between each, so it will look something like this instead. Yeah, that's a lot better. And then we'll add a directional blur as well. And if you want to use a directional blur, I would recommend that you use a motion tile underneath, just so you don't have these black edges right there. So when you add the height to the motion tile, it will look a lot better. And I really love vertical effects. I don't really like when they're horizontal, so I'll go for the vertical direction. And I'll drag up the blur length to like 150, and we don't necessarily gotta work with the graph editor for this effect, just because it's so fast and so short. So I'll drag it down to 0 after 2 frames, and we'll have something like this. Maybe that's a little bit too much, so I'll drag it down to like 55 actually, because we just want a subtle blur right there. That's a lot better. And as you can see, they actually have a really nice pan right there for the transition. I don't really need to add anything right there. And for this scene right here, we could do a zoom on the subject. So like right here when he's centered, I'll click Y on my keyboard and move my anchor point to his face, and we'll do a quick zoom. We can maybe add it like a little bit above right here, and we'll do a zoom like this. Just add like 50, just drag it up to like 150, and then easy ease these keyframes, and I'll go for a graph where I drag the top one back and the bottom one forward. That's a little bit too much, so I'll just keep it smooth like this, and then you can maybe add some lyrics right there. That would probably fit an effect like this. I'll zoom it out a little bit actually, that was a little bit too much. And if you'd like to keep your subject centered, then you can just click P on your keyboard and then create a keyframe like right around here, and then just track your subject basically. So try to keep him in the middle. You can add a proportional grid if you want to, and you don't need to keep his face necessarily in the middle, but just keep him like around the middle mark right there. So when he moves, like right here, he moves to the right, we'll move him back to the center, and with the motion blur it's going to look good. Right here he moves to the left, we'll move him back to the right, and basically so on and so forth. And right here I need to move him a little bit more. You can see that we get this black part right there because the clip ends. So I'll add on a motion tile just to solve that issue, and we'll set the output width to like 250 and then check mirror edges, and now it's basically seamless. So try to keep his face centered like that, and then right here a sign pops up, I think it is. Yeah, the sign pops up right there, so it kind of ruins our effect. So I'll have it zoom back out like right here. When it starts messing up, that's where I'll keyframe the scale again, and we'll keyframe the position as well actually. Then click U on your keyboard so you can see both the position and the scale keyframes, and then right here where it starts messing up, that's where we will reset both the position and the scale. And then we also got to keyframe the anchor point right here, and then click U on our keyboard once again, and to get the anchor point you click A, and you also reset the anchor point. And now we got to create the same graph for all of these, and I'll actually use the speed graph because that's a lot easier when you're working with anchor point and positions. I'll go for something like this. That's pretty good, and I'll do that for the position as well. So as you can see now, pretty smooth zoom out, nothing too special. And I'll add a transition from the VFX Kit right here. So I'll create a new adjustment layer, open up the VFX Kit, go to the transitions tab, and let's go for something with a lot of energy. Let me listen to the song and see.
Yeah, Banan, you bugging me, baby.
I'll probably just go for a smooth quick bounce. So I'll add on the quick bounce part 1, line up the keyframes correctly right there, and then I'll create another adjustment layer underneath and add on the quick bounce part 2, and I'll also line these up correctly, same way that I line the other ones up like this. But yeah, pretty straightforward and a clean transition. And earlier I cut the video right here because that's like right before the drop. So the effect that I want to add on right before the drop is this one from Speed Jams, and this grunge sped up. I'm a huge fan of this one, and this one is also available in the sample version of the VFX kit. So you simply just add it onto an adjustment layer like this, and I find that it looks best like right before a drop. So as you can see right here, these little keyframes are flashes, so they're supposed to happen on the clip earlier. So right here is the clip earlier, and then right here before the drop, all you got to do is just drag out your clip like a lot. Go ahead and drag it out like 30 seconds or something, because it's using a time warp effect. So basically just grab the clips from all of this. So I'll play it through and see what it looks like, and I'll also add the song just because it fits a lot better. That's good. I think that since my video is pretty dark, I can turn up the exposure a little bit, like right there, and then we can top this off right here. When this kind of mini drop comes, we can add on a heavy shake. I'll once again go for something vertical. I just love the vertical shakes. They pretty much fit anywhere in a music video. I'll actually just go for the smooth vertical one instead, because that one has a nice bash as well. Now it looks insanely good. So I'll play everything through now and see what we got. Okay, on my mother's son, we counting these rest of the sun is up. Said she love me, she can't find another one. Said you fuck with me, baby, come show me some. Back it up, bring it back. Okay. I'm a huge fan of this video, it's sick. I think that we can add like a zoom on his face right there when he comes in with that smile, and I think it would fit really well. So I'll just click on my keyboard once again, move the anchor point to this side, so I can create a zoom right like there, and so I can create a zoom like right here. So when his face is centered, that's when I stop the zoom, so like right around here. And I can actually drag this keyframe out a little bit because the graph that we will use, I'll change it to the value graph because that one is just a lot smoother, and I'll go for something like this. And then right here when he moves, I obviously want his face centered, so I'll move it with him. So I created a keyframe for the position, and then I'll just move it back when he moves, just like that. And then turn on motion blur, and you should have something like that. Actually, I can add the scale zoom in a little bit earlier, right there. So now we got this. And I haven't even used any of the grunge effects so far. From this grunge tab, we have some sick grunge effects in here, but I don't really think that it fits this video's vibe, so I think I'll probably just skip it for this tutorial. But yeah, I basically packed it with effects so far. So I'll calm down a little bit on the effects. I skipped a few scenes right there, but I'll show you the quickest and easiest way to create one of these zoom through transitions, and just the way that I create it, because I don't like to spend way too much time on an effect. So the thing that I do is I just simply rotoscope out the part that I want to zoom through. So right here, his hands, just like this. So just simply rotoscope it out. As you can see, my rotoscope is far from perfect, but I'll show you a trick in a second. Now that we got the rotoscope right here looking horrible, we'll invert the foreground and we'll add on a refine soft matte effect, and I'll set the additional edge radius to, let's go for 7, and we'll set the feather to like 5. So as you can see, pretty much saved our rotoscope, because it looked like this before and now it looks like that, just a lot better. And then what I do is I duplicate this, and then with this duplication, what I do is I pre-compose it and move other attributes into the new composition, and I cut it here at the start, and then we freeze frame it. So now we have that freeze frame, and all we need to do is just set the anchor point to the middle, and then keyframe the scale from 100 here at the end, and then here at the start, like half a second before, we zoom all the way through. So something like this is okay. I know that we see the edge right there, but this will go pretty fast, so it doesn't really matter. So now I easy ease my keyframes, turn on motion blur, and I'll use a graph that looks something like this. Of course, we're in the value graph because that looks a lot better. So it goes pretty fast in the beginning, and then it slows down. We need to do a lot faster in the beginning, so something like this. That's cool. And then what we need to do now is we duplicate this once again. Then we need to press this invert foreground and background once again, and we can remove the refine soft matte. And then you can also turn up the shift edge a little bit if you need it. And then right here we will pre-compose it like we did with the last one, and of course freeze frame it just like that. So now, as you can see, if we just play through like this, it's going to line up like perfectly right there. And we can also remove the rotoscope from this clip, so it looks like this. And now all we gotta do, and as you can see, it doesn't line up perfectly, so we can just bump up the feather to like 20 and then go back, and as you can see, it's a lot better. So now all I gotta do is just keyframe the position here at the last frame, and then go like, I don't know, a few frames in, and just drag it down out of frame underneath right there. And then we can cut it so it doesn't appear like earlier. And then we just create a graph that looks something. We'll just use the speed graph for this one, doesn't really matter. We'll just go for something like this. So drag this one back and this one back as well, so it comes in like that. And now we have this going on. Yes sir, it's looking good. We have like 2 or 3 frames here where it's just completely still, and if you don't like that, then you just add on a flash right there. I'll just use the VFX kit, it goes a lot quicker. I don't really need to, I'm just a huge fan of all of these tabs, so I just go to transitions because that's where I have the flashes. Scroll all the way down, and we got the flash with blur. If you don't want the blur, you can simply just remove it and stick with the flash. So like something like this, clean. And then like right here when he does that phase, I think it will look really good with this effect right here, one of my favorite ones. It's just called flash, and you simply apply it onto your clip, not to an adjustment layer, just to the clip. And then let me show you real quick. Just play it through after applying it, and you have that effect going on. We can actually drag this clip out a little bit, so it goes over to the next clip, just like this. And then we can press U on our keyboard so you can see all the keyframes. And I'll just move them. Actually, I'll move all of the keyframes out a little bit like that. As you can see, it's getting really dark right here, and then the next clip comes up, so it doesn't really match. So all I gotta do is just move the opacity back so it doesn't get dark until the next clip has started, just like this, and then it fades onto the next clip. Really clean effect. I'm a huge fan of that one. So I'll play it through. So I'll play this effect through and see what it looks like. Really sick effect. And as you can see, this clip right here is glitching real bad, like it's looking horrible right now. And to get rid of this, all you gotta do is open Media Encoder, and I'm assuming that you have Media Encoder if you have After Effects. And when you've opened Media Encoder, you just basically throw in the music video that you're editing on. And this just happens if you're editing on music videos that you grabbed straight off of YouTube. And then all you need to do is just keep the quality at HD and just re-render that shit. So just like that, it's rendered, and all we need to do is open After Effects once again, replace this clip by right clicking, replace footage, and replace the file with the new one. So now, so you can see, it's going to be solved. It's permanently solved. Just something good to know if you run into this issue while you're doing some edits. So now this is what the effect looks like without the glitch. Looking really good. Yes sir. And I'll play it through now while I'll be yapping a little bit. So yeah, this is what we got. And to be honest, this is not really what my usual workflow looks like, because I try to do a lot of stuff manually this time. Because if I'm being completely honest, like, I'm not even trying to plug my stuff. All I do nowadays is just use the VFX kit. And whenever I have an effect that I feel like would fit in a specific scene, that's just when I do stuff manually. So it's basically just pretty scene based, unless you're actually doing a lot of manual stuff. So feel free to let me know if you want a part 2 of this video, or if you want me to edit a music video in a specific style, or maybe just break down one of the music videos that I've edited myself. But yeah, feel free to let me know. I'll leave the VFX Kit link to the description, the free one and the paid one, because basically anyone that works with clients have loved this plugin. It just automates so much of your editing with all the 150 effects. But that's pretty much it. Thank you so much for watching. Feel free to leave a like and subscribe, and I'll see you in the next one.